Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for the Q&A, so let's go ahead and get this started. All right, first question. Hey Jason, I am a late novice lifter who just turned 40 and started doing conjugate a few months ago. I don't have any bands or chains yet, so I've been doing waves of 60, 65, 70 for speed work as you recommended doing, and how do we set up conjugate for late novice lifters video. My problem is my speed benching looks exceedingly slow. I know you said if you can't explode when doing speed work, you are wasting your time. I tried lowering percentage waves to 55, 60, 65, but still have the same problem. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, long question. You're going way too heavy. I found more and more, keeping in mind that that video is an old video, I found more and more as a coach that guys like Winninger, right? Speed work should probably never be above 50% at all. I take people lower. You don't have bands or chains. You need to be even lower. Why don't you go down to 40%? And here's the thing. Let's say you go to 40% and then at 50% you're too slow still. You don't need to be doing waves then. Go to 40% and stay there. You don't have to rotate waves. You don't have to do that to get the benefits from speed work. Go to a flat 40%. If you want to do waves and 40% is where you have your peak speed, then go 30, 35, 40. But the point is, the bar needs to be fast. It needs to be super fast. Otherwise, I would say don't even bother with conjugate. I'm almost at a point where if people don't have bands, chains, or specialty bars, I don't even like to prescribe conjugate for them anymore. I mean, if I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, if I have a client who doesn't have that stuff, I'm not going to put them on conjugate. If they have no accommodating resistance, I'm not going to put them on conjugate. And it's not that conjugate doesn't work. I have guys with elite lifts who we've been on conjugate for 2 to 3 years straight. Some brutally strong guys. But you know what? They have access to at least a safety squat bar and bands. Okay? They have at least that stuff. So I'm going to say you're wasting your time potentially. And definitely if you're doing speed work even at 60% with no bands, no chains, it's obviously still slow. You don't have any specialty bars, don't run conjugate. It's probably not ideal. And this is kind of more of my updated stance. And keeping in mind, I still have clients who run conjugate who have elite lifts, so I'm not anti-conjugate. I still promote it. I still program it for a lot of my clients. But we need some context here. All right, next question. I'm sure you've probably covered it many times, but beltless training for non-competing average Joe lifters versus wearing a belt. Pros and cons of both. Haven't worn a belt in about 6 months and I'm kind of liking it. The pros of wearing a belt: you'll be stronger, you'll gain more muscle, you'll recover slightly better. The cons of a belt: you have to buy a belt, you have to break it in, you have to learn how to use it. Some cases a belt can get in the way. I am very pro belt. Now, you're seeing me do some phases where I'm doing a lot of my upper body work without a belt. But here's things you don't see me doing beltless: squatting, deadlifting, overhead pressing. Okay? These big structural exercises, we can debate the bench press. These big structural exercises, you will be stronger. You will have better neuromuscular efficiency, better bracing, all of these things if you wear a belt. You will recover better. This is something I've noticed. Some of the axial loading that we get from these big exercises, a good belt and learning to brace seems to offset some of the problems with axial loading. You'll be able to do more squatting, more deadlifting if you wear a belt. So you're talking about, well, non-competitive. Well, what do you mean non-competitive? You're competing against yourself. You probably are competing against other guys. You want to be stronger than other men. Don't come in here and tell me you strength train and that you're not competitive at all. You may not be competing in a sport, but you're competitive. And if you are going to be 1% stronger with 1% better recovery from wearing your belt, why wouldn't you wear it? Put the belt on. The argument that it doesn't strengthen the core as much isn't based on reality or data that we have, number one. Number two, why aren't you training your core? Look at all those hanging leg raises I do, all those toe to bars you guys see me do on camera. I also do crunches. Train your abs. Right? There's no excuse not to train your abs. Throw your belt on. Use your belt at least for your squat, deadlift, overhead press. If you don't want to wear it for other stuff, that's fine. We could make a case for using it for some other exercises. But those are the big ones. Those are the ones where it's going to impact your strength and recovery the most, those three. Put a belt on for it. There's no reason not to. My opinion, you asked for it. All right, that's how I feel about it. All right, next question. You appear to have really long forearms relative to the rest of your body. Does it help your deadlift? This is something I've talked about quite a bit. Yeah, I absolutely have longer than average forearms. That does help deadlift. Now, that's not the only thing that helps with deadlift. Usually the guys with the best deadlifts have long arms and long legs. Okay, that is what you want for a deadlift. I at least have the long arms, which is a benefit there. Long arms are a detriment on the bench press. Long legs are a detriment on the squat. Shorter legs are a benefit on the squat. Now, when we say these, we don't mean short versus tall people. We mean your relative leverages, right? Because taller people are always going to have the higher strength potential. You know, the deadlift, absolutely. Who has the most monstrous deadlifts in the world? Always guys over 6 foot tall. Absolutely monstrous deadlifts. But when we're talking about these leverages, we're talking about even if you took 10 guys at the same height, arm, leg, and torso ratios. Right? That's what you want. Now, in my case, I have a long torso, somewhat short legs, long arms. Because I'm average height for America, according to the statistics. So, and we're not a short country, but I have slightly longer arms, slightly shorter legs than average. The shorter legs make me good at squatting. The longer arms give me an advantage on the squat. The shorter legs disadvantage my deadlift. The longer arms advantage it. Longer arms hurt my bench. So accordingly, on average, I tend to be kind of weak at the bench, and I tend to be pretty good at the squat and the deadlift. Genetically, the squat is probably my best lift, just me personally. But I've talked about all these things in details, and you know, a lot of people will say, oh my God, well, where do I fit? Well, unless you're somewhat an outlier, I wouldn't worry about it. Meaning, unless you have disproportionate proportions, and in my case, I do with the arm lengths. My arms are disproportionately long, yours probably aren't. It's not worth worrying about these things because they don't matter till you start competing at the world level. Okay, they don't matter till that point. All right, if you're just going to compete at a regional level, national level, you're not trying to break national records, world records, things like that, it honestly isn't that big of a deal. But it matters a lot when we start getting to those elite levels. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.